and welcome to my channel. I'm Stephanie and this is my weekly review for September the 23rd to the 30th. This week has been super crazy, so I'm doing things a little bit different and you guys can weigh in on how I've done it. Let me know down in the comment section at the end of this video or whenever throughout the video if you like the new format or if you want to see more of this format. So I only read 3 books this week, and that's because it was the end of the fiscal year. I went to a book signing or author event on Saturday and it was just super crazy. It was super crazy, and I thought I thought I would have more time this week, but I didn't. So the 3 books that I did get read this week were Perfectly Imperfect by Harper Sloan. I place this in contemporary. I give it 4.5 to 5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook, and this book revolves around Willow and Cain. Willow is a young woman that has had a troubled past. She has been beat down and mentally and from her family. She just has a lot of insecurities that a lot of women have about being a plus size sort of figure. She had issues with her weight all through her life, and her mother ends up dying, so this compounds the issues that she has with her father and her stepsister. So they're wanting to be perfect. Well, we come into her life when she is getting a divorce from her husband, who has beat her down mentally as well with verbal abuse and telling her that she is worth nothing and things like that. So on the day that she is finally getting rid of that douchebag, her day just doesn't seem like it can get any worse, but she ends up tripping, falling, spilling all the contents of her bag onto the floor, and this is where she sort of has a run-in with Cain, who is this massive superstar and actor. So he notices her, but doesn't notice. He notices her, period. We're just going to go with that. He notices her. She still is in this bad place where she's not feeling that someone like him could even notice her. So this is their journey. I enjoyed that they had independent journeys and a journey together, but at the same time, I thought some of her overwhelming insecurities was a little bit of a beatdown, but I could relate to her and feel for her. That's why I gave it 4.5 to 5 stars. The next book I read was His True Queen, which is Smoke and Mirrors #2 by Jodi Malpas, and I place this in contemporary. I give this one 5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook. This is the conclusion for Princess Adelaide and Josh's story. This story picks up in this book 3 months after the events of The Controversial Princess. So you do have to read The Controversial Princess before you jump into this book, but this book continues on with their journey, with their story. More secrets, more twists, more turns. It was just absolutely amazing. I believe this is the same narrator that was in The Controversial Princess, and she did an amazing job with keeping the continuity of knowing when Josh was speaking, knowing when Princess Adelaide was speaking, knowing when some of the other characters were speaking. And there were moments where I was like, man, I could see the twist coming from like a mile away, but then there were other moments that I was on the edge of my seat like, what's gonna happen? What is going to happen? And I really, really enjoyed this story and the conclusion. The next book that I finished, or the final book that I finished, was Revelry by Kandi Steiner. I place this in new adult. I give it 4 to 4.5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook, and this story follows Ren and Anderson. And Ren is a fashion designer from Seattle who gets a divorce and decides she needs to sort of find herself, and so she gets a cabin in the woods in Washington, and that's where she meets Anderson, who is sort of this recluse native of the small town. He has a tragic backstory and a journey that he has to go on. I initially didn't understand the whole point of giving a word in the beginning of each chapter, which was a little annoying to me right off the bat until it was explained later on in the book. So I sort of felt like if the words hadn't come until later on in the book, I would have understood it a little more. To start it off, it really just sort of annoyed me. Ren, for me, was a bit of an annoying character. She had been dealing with her disconnect for a long time before the 3 months that she decided to spend in this cabin in this small town. And I appreciate the journey that she had, but at the same time, it was like, you might have already had worked that out in your mind, right? I'm thinking you probably had already worked that out. But overall, the ending definitely made me enjoy this book a little bit more than I had initially started out with. But in the end, I did enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to reading more of Kandi Steiner's books. So this is the part in which it would have been a really short video had I just talked about the first three books that I finished last week. So here is what I'm currently reading, or what I started last week and had wanted to get done but wasn't able to. And I'll tell you guys where I'm at in those books and how I feel about those stories. So I am currently still reading Romancing the Duke, which is by Tessa, and I'm on page 47. It's part of my physical book challenge, and this is Izzy and Rowan's story, or Ransom story. And Izzy is a lady who, her father died, and now a benefactor has come and died as well. He gave her a castle. Well, the castle was still inhabited by the original owner, Rowan, and he's a duke. I'm just now to the part where we find out that he might possibly be blind, which is why he didn't know that his castle was being sold or had been sold. Yeah. So far I've enjoyed it. It was funny, some of the moments that they've had. So, you know, I'm kind of enjoying that. I'm also reading Gravel Road by Stephie Walls. This I received as an ARC. I have not actually started it. I haven't met Miranda in Austin, but the buzz that I'm finding around this book is amazing, and I really can't wait to jump into it, which will be next on my slate. I'm getting to it. I really am. I'm still reading The First Lights by Christy Pastore. I am about 20% into that, and this book is following Hannah and Wyatt, and both of them have this story, this past that's just like heartfelt. I mean, the percentage that I've already read, I'm like breathless with the issues that we're having. So Hannah has a husband and a son that passed away tragically, and Wyatt had a wife and a daughter that passed away tragically. They both now live in this sort of small town, and we're seeing how they may or may not have a new spark where they're trying to build and come through the darkness that they've had in their past. So I'm really looking forward to finishing that book out and being emotionally just drawn into it. I'm also reading Not Until You by Corinne Michaels. I'm about 86% into that one. This is Nicole and Cullum's story. Nicole is that free-spirited friend from the group that had something happen to her, so she has sort of warded off love and doesn't have anything to do with love. She's into, you know, sleeping around, and she doesn't want the family, she doesn't want the kids because of something that happened in the past. Cullum, he has some secrets. His father just passed, so he was normally based in London, and now he has to take over the company that his sort of sperm donor father from America, you know, take over that side of the business, and we're seeing how they're relating, and it's been a fun ride. I've had these moments of laughing out loud, and I actually almost spit soda out of my mouth at one point because one of the lines, or a couple of lines that Corinne put in this book, were absolutely hilarious. So funny. Absolutely funny. And then as well, I thought this was going to be a really lighthearted book and, you know, laughing out loud and things like that. And then she hits me in the heart with a situation that I did not see coming at all. And I have a feeling that all of the social media stuff that I had been seeing from Corinne, this is what she had been hinting to, and now I understand. I understand now. I am also reading or listening to Accidentally on Purpose by L.D. Davis, and I'm at about 46% in that. I'm listening to it on audiobook. I started listening to that on my way to Indies Invade Philly, and oh my goodness. I mean, this story revolves around Emmy, Kyle, and Luke, and all I can say is WTF. WTF, WTF, WTF. I mean, I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to rate this book at this point, because I'm just speechless. Speechless, speechless, speechless. So, Emmy is Kyle's assistant. She ends up getting snowed in with him one night, and they bump uglies, and then they go back to work, and she's like, I can't like you, we can't continue to do this. But then they're bumping uglies again, and Kyle has a girlfriend, so Emmy goes and gets a boyfriend, Luke, and we got a whole bunch of bumping uglies. And if you have triggers about cheating, this may not be the book for you. But all of this twisting and turning and drama, I'm just like, I'm for it. I'm for it, but it's secretly, I'm like, or out loud, not secretly. Out loud, I'm like, WTF. 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 So those are the things that I read last week for September the 23rd until the 30th. Have you read any of those things that I did read? Are you reading any of the current books that I am reading? Because they were all released last week, with the exception of Accidentally on Purpose and Romancing the Duke. Both of those were released a while ago. But those three books in the middle, Gravel Road by Stephie Walls, The First Lights by Christy, Pastore, and Not Until You by Corinne Michaels, all released last week. And congratulations, happy release day for all of those ladies. Oh, go out and read those books, because yes, they're sending me on an emotional roller coaster. You guys will probably see that next week with my full reviews of those books. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box, so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.